Hello, hello. Welcome back. Hi, Dimitri. Hey, Tony Sprocket. Thanks for tuning in. We are going to keep working on Elixir Emporium this week, and we're in the middle of a bunch of really big features. So normally I like to have like a new feature carved out to work on stream, and I've been holding off to do it, but too excited this week, so we've just been going ham on all the features. So we'll start off the stream by playing the live demo so people can check it out themselves. And then I'll show off what we've been building since then, and then we'll get into some refactoring and just trudging along, getting it all working. Things are so close to working, and it's all just gonna fit together really well, I think. Let's see what we've got here. Let's bring over the demo that we currently have, which you guys can play if you'd like in your browser. Head on over to chromagolem.itch.io and check out Elixir Emporium. Before I do that, let me just double check that our API is on the right AI model. So things will be nice. Yeah, we're on GPT-4. Cool. So I think we can just start off by, let me just play the game a little bit. If you're new to the stream, you can check out what we're working on. Basically what we have here is I think it's classified technically as like a crafting RPG. It's kind of like Little Alchemy, games in that genre where you get a bunch of items and you can combine them into new items. In this game you play as an alchemist who's traveling from town to town helping people out, and you start out with a bunch of items. You get people that come to you with problems, and once you have a problem you combine some items trying to make an item that solves their problem. So we pretty heavily use AI through this whole thing. Both for, we generate NPCs, we generate the locations that you're in. All these, or most of the items are generated by AI. A lot of the recipes are generated by AI. There's AI logic under the scenes of when you give an NPC an item, it determines whether it's useful or not. I see my camera has frozen. Let me just make sure my audio is still working. My camera's been having some troubles today. I do not hear anything. Oh wait, it's coming out of my headphones. Okay, that's way better. That's way better. Alright, we should be fine. We should be fine. Sorry about the echo there. Hopefully my camera will come back. I don't know why it just keeps freezing in place. But as long as, yeah, you can still see my screen just fine. So we can keep playing the game. Maybe I'll turn off this camera for now, just in case. It just needs some time to rest, you know? Cool. So basically in this game we've got our first visitor. We got George the Jeweler. He has a perplexing curse where every gemstone he touches turns to mere dust. Obviously he can't do his job, so he wants to know if we can offer any sort of remedy for this. So, off the top of my head, a couple solutions might be like give him some gloves, give him a potion, give him something, you know. So maybe let's take some scissors to some cotton, get some cloth strips, and basically just trying to make some gloves here. Let's give him a bandage. Do you have anything to make the bandage a little more, let's do an ointment? Well, maybe not. Let's grab it anyway. Some cotton. So we're still tuning like all the items that you start out with, and also all of the starting problems you get. So there's not always a perfect solution. It's more just a kind of the very, very bottom of the difficulty curve where you're still figuring stuff out. It's very likely you're going to give them something that isn't going to help, but we're trying to give you enough items at the start that you can kind of explore and be like, ooh, what does oil and ice make? A slippery surface? Sure. So it kind of teaches you as the player how this sort of combination works, and the more items you have, the less punishing it is to just kind of craft to see what happens. So this bandage we gave him didn't help. But we can go ahead and dismiss him. It restocks the shop. As we are doing this crafting, we're also unlocking all these recipes, which some of them are hard-coded into the game, but any combination that doesn't have a recipe asks AI. So if you wanted to combine maybe a pine cone and a rose, there's no recipe for that in the game, but you can just keep rolling through. Perfumed potpourri and a slippery surface really should make just hard to say things. Scented soap. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So now we've got Odo, the humble tavern keep of this village. And as a reminder, we are in this demo, it's just one location, so you have just a lot of NPCs in the same location. But some of the features we're working on now that we'll work on stream is for basically letting you pick and choose which NPCs to talk to in your location, and also traveling from location to location. So there's a lot to talk about there. There's also friendship scores on NPCs, so if you repeatedly help someone, you can build up your friendship score. You can actually invite them to join your party, and you can bring them with you to other locations as well, which is pretty cool. But what does Odo need? Every evening, as the sun sets, every liquid within his humble establishment turns to a thick, tasteless porridge, driving away patrons and threatening the ruination of his livelihood. Okay. So we actually don't really have a lot here. So maybe we just kind of combine some stuff and see if we get anything that might help. Maybe not. And we are also working on a lot of these recipes. Basically, whenever we see good recipes in the game, we're yoinking them out into the actual base recipes that you start with. So a lot of these are very AI generated right now and not the greatest quality, but once we have good recipes for those low quality ones, we swap them out, and then we know that it's a high bar, but also the player can kind of progress through all those recipes, and once they know how the system works, they can better create a lot of interesting items, or create the item they're looking for better. This is not looking so hot for our friend Odo here. Let's give him some snowflake origami and just pray that he's some sort of guy who thinks that will help. We're running out of items. That did not help either. They do tip a few items as you kind of help them. And you get a lot more items if you're actually helpful. So let's look at one more problem. We haven't actually been able to help anyone yet, so we're kind of a pretty poor alchemist here. But I guess we could have been checking the shop, and we've also added foraging, which gives you a lot more items that you can get for free. Maybe after this problem I'll switch over to our current demo and we can kind of see where things are currently now. Because they've changed quite a lot, but it's not quite in a state where we can release it quite yet. Alright, Matilda the Apothecary. Allergic to lavender. We need to cure an allergy. Let's see here. Let's give her mushroom. And ash. Maybe some cooling balm. Tincture is a great base. That's all the money we've got for now. But let's do tincture and a cooling balm. We got soothing lotion. Let's put some ash in that. Soothing mud. Maybe put our cooling balm on that. Arctic clay, we ruined it. We don't have our undo button yet. Alright, let's try and bring it back a little bit. We got an antibiotic. Let's put a rose in that. Healing potion. That sounds like it might help. Let's see what they say. Did not help. We only got one coin. Only got a few items. But you can kind of see the core game loop here. We're still working on content, but all these recipes now we've discovered. So if somebody else were in need of, say, a healing potion or something, we can come down and see healing potion. We have crafted that with a rose and an antibiotic. There's lots and lots of other recipes and ways you could craft it, but that's one way. So we could head to the shop, see if we can buy any of those ingredients. If we forget how we crafted antibiotics, we can go kind of see how that was made and kind of go down the chain there. But I think we can head on over to where we're at now. This is a good little demo. As a repeat, if you want to play it, you can head on over to chromagolem.itch.io and check it out there. And now that we are back, before we start coding, let me see if I can recover my camera. Nope, still frozen in time. Interesting. Alright, well, maybe we're getting a faceless stream this week. It's fine by me. But this is where we're at. It's the same sort of start screen, obviously. We are going to take out these kind of class select buttons eventually. They're there right now just so we can pretty quickly test out what different starting items feel like. So apothecary is what we just played at and is what I'm like, I want it to work well, but it doesn't work well. So that just lets me test out those items pretty quickly and create recipes for them. The Artificer works pretty well, and the Mysticist works pretty well right now, I'd say. Elementalist is more your traditional alchemy style game where you start with fire, water, earth, very abstract base ingredients and combine those. But when this game reaches a little closer to like release, we're going to have a tutorial that'll dump you in, teach you how to play, and then give you a set of specific items that you start with, because we're planning on having more scripted problems and events in your first town. So we want to make sure you have all the tools you need to craft those solutions, learn how to play without finding yourself in a position where you don't have those items. And then once you start traveling to other towns, you're kind of more on your own and hope you have the resources. But let's take a quick look. Actually, maybe we can let's just play here. I do have like a god mode type thing on right now, so we're going to start with a lot of items and a lot of gold. But maybe that's fine for playing. So, why... My camera not set up? I feel like nothing's working today. Oh, right. It's because it's on this monitor. Yeah, this is fine. Let's start as our artificer. So now we are starting in a town called Gerund, and it under the hood now is generating NPCs that live in this town. So it's giving them professions, it's giving them problems, it's giving them a default friendship score with us. I think we have it set to just 3 right now, which is fine, but obviously for the wider release we'll have a lot more NPCs. I just only ever really interact with 1 or 2 while testing, so I don't want to just be blowing through all of our AI resources to generate tons and tons of NPCs that we don't interact with. But in this town we've got Juliana the Sapper, Simon a Duchess, and Hugh a Witch. So we have tons and tons of items we can help them with. Maybe we'll add in sorting and stacking to those items today. If you click on any of them, they start talking. It's kind of the format that you saw just a second ago on the previous demo. You can also now forage for items, so every time you go to a new location, there's going to be a lot of items that you can just go and get for free. This is more of a stand-in placeholder for eventually we want to lean more into the RPG mechanics in this, so you'll have an actual character on screen, more like probably 2D top-down, and you can go out and dig for dirt, or go collect water, or collect air, collect sunlight, all this stuff that doesn't really make sense to buy in a shop. You'll have ways to collect it using your skills or your tools or something. So each time you travel, there's new stuff for you to grab, and each time you help somebody in town, there's a few more collectibles. I just realized we need to update this count as well. I'm going to go ahead and let's start making a list of stuff that maybe we'll do. So update forageables, count, on update, stack, sort inventory. Cool, let's check out what Giuliano needs. So she is responsible for the tunnels that protect our town and allow us to move in secrecy. Whenever she touches the earth to dig, the ground freezes solid as if cursed by eternal winter, making her task impossible and endangering our town's defenses. Okay. And I do think we still need to make this paragraph a little shorter, as someone mentioned last stream, but I think that's more in the polish stages when we start tweaking prompts and once we've kind of finalized the UI too. So we'll get to that as well, but probably not this week. But for Juliana, let's find something that helps her dig without the ground freezing solid. So leather might be good. Maybe coal. We got tons and tons of items, so we can kind of work through here. Let's grab some iron. We could just give her dirt. Let's use steel instead of iron. Don't think we have a pickaxe. But maybe we can steel and axe makes a sword. Don't know about that one. I also have a long list of recipes that when you have a situation like that, I typically write it down. I'm like, alright, we need to go add our own recipe. Or at least go tune the prompt for combining items. Let's see here. We do have leather. So, not sure potentially how you would get gloves from leather. We probably need to add needle and thread as an item. Or Yeah, if this were sorted, it'd be a lot nicer to go. I was thinking maybe we could make needle and thread if we take cotton and maybe scissors, or make thread somehow. But yeah, we've mostly been focused on getting the system working, and now we're starting to get into more of the content. So there's still a lot to do there. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and combine some things. Let's hammer and coal, diamond. I guess that kind of makes sense. Let's give leather and gear armor. Do we have another leather? For maybe leather armor. Reinforced armor. Ageless armor. Alright, starting to get like magical stuff. Let's put a crystal in there. We got an eternal shield. Okay. Yeah, we really need that undo button as well. Let's add that to the list of deconstructing items. Let's chisel down our leather. Carved leather work. Clay in there. There's a whole tree coming from pottery that is just a lot of pottery and a lot of different things you can make, bowls, plates, and so on. But it's cool that you can craft them all, but we don't really have any NPCs that need them quite yet. So as soon as I see pottery, I'm like, man, it's a dead item. Let's see here. Golden leather. A money belt. Okay. Really just combining things here and seeing if anything makes sense. And it's not really. Electric guitar. Electricity conducting guitar strings. You know, maybe we don't have something for Juliana, but the nice thing about this now is you can come back to her. Maybe somebody else might have something that we can help them. And we haven't themed the rewards they give to their problem in the town yet, so can't really go help somebody with the intent of them giving us a specific item to help somebody else quite yet, but that's kind of the direction we're going in. So now we've got Simon. He's unable to set foot outside the castle grounds after dusk, as an invisible barrier repels me back. Feels like he should use some tunnels. Alright, so got some real interesting items. As a side note, I think it'll be really cool when we have value associated with these items. So if you want to just play the crafting game and ignore these people, you should be able to craft items that are worth more than the sum of their parts and sell those back to the store to buy new items and so on. So that should be pretty cool, I think. Let's see here, though. We need something to bust through an invisible barrier. Fire is a good set. compass sword could cut through the barrier in the right direction. We'll see if he likes that. Alright, Simon. Didn't quite help, but... But we tried. But we do see now that we've attempted to help someone, we've unlocked the train station. So every location you go to generates neighboring locations. And I think this town, we've got something in the like secret prompt about it for it being like high fantasy. So we are often getting a lot of floating towns. I don't know why we're getting teapots, but it's kind of cool to be able to kind of progress through, and you see like, oh, if you go to a volcano, a lot of the neighboring towns are like beach towns or hot springs or other hot places. Versus in this high fantasy town, you get a lot of like floating buildings, a kaleidoscope forest. That sounds like a cool place to go. We need to fit the location description. Probably just have it scroll. Maybe I mean, we're gonna redo all this UI. So I'm half tempted to just start a new scene and start putting together that like 2D movement and start doing some new UI. But I would love to get, I mean, there's so many added things here that are almost working, and we're kind of running up against all of the parts that aren't working right now. I'd love to get all those working before I take another big undertaking. But in this kaleidoscope forest, we have a peace officer, a duke, and an acrobat. Let's see what the peace officer's up to. And then maybe we'll try and help him with one item, but I'd love to just get into some code. I think it's not really in a state where we can just sit here and play it for a long time. So Olaf, he's patrolling the forest. With each step, his memories begin to blend with dreams, making it nigh impossible to distinguish between the two. Okay. How can he uphold law and order when the line between reality and fantasy fades? Is there a drought within your art to anchor my mind firmly to the world of the waking? Alright, I think a magnet and maybe some gold is a great start. Magnetic alloy, okay. Let's throw in some obsidian, you can't go wrong with obsidian. Magnetic obsidian compass, we might have gone wrong with obsidian. Let's give that a crystal. Navigation beacon. Okay. Is there anything like mental? Let's grab some gear. Let's see here. Let's put some time on there. The chrono compass, you know, that just might work. What do you think about that, Olaf? Just give me one win before we get to the code. Hey yo! Perfect. By the radiant stars, this is exactly the sort of marvel I was seeking, and could scarcely hope to describe. With this, my mind's eye will not stray into the misty realm of dreams, whilst my feet tread the solid earth of reality. 1,000 thanks, kind alchemist, for giving clarity and purpose back into my watch. Awesome. So he tipped us with, obviously it's not super noticeable when we have 100 and some items, but he gave us probably 5 to 10 items and also tipped us 3 coins, which is nice. And we can travel again if we want. These don't look correct. These look like the exact options we already had. So we'll want to take a look at that as well. But let's get into some code. Location might not be updating. Cool. So you know, maybe let's get an easy win. Let's go fit this location description. I'm sure we'll stumble upon plenty of stuff that we need to do while we're working in it, but let's also see if this camera's working. It's not. Nothing works, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and just code anyway. So I don't want to spend too much time on UI when we'll redo it, but let's at least get this text scrolling, which I think we can do on the TextMesh Pro object with scroll rect wrapping, maybe? Wrapping, oh, it's already set to that. Okay, we'll just do auto size then. And maybe, let's see what it looks like at 18. I mean, I think that's small, but that's probably fine. Let's do 18 to 26, so that should be fine enough for now. I really just want to get stuff working so we can redo all the looks and start working on like content and making it feel good again. It felt so good in the last demo with everything working, and now we've kind of expanded it so much that there's so many rough edges that we need to sand them back down and get that tight loop going again. But so maybe this sort of UI stuff, let's hold off on that, but we will look at the location not updating and potentially how we will deconstruct items. So let's go ahead and let's first check out how we are enabling the train station. And we will enable it much faster so we can go ahead and travel without having to help someone every time. Or actually, let's just let's add a lot more logging for now, and then we'll figure out what's going on. So we have our open train station, which happens in Game Manager when we end the game day, which is right now triggered when you help someone. Will be on a day-night cycle. But basically right now we just make sure that we have 4 locations generated, and if we do, we open that train station and populate the data. So in here, we want to make sure that it's populating with new data, because it sure looked like those were the same options. Although I guess it's possible in our location generator. It's just generating the same thing. Since we're not, let's say start location. We're not inserting our current location into the prompt. So I guess it could be just outputting the same thing over and over again. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at our content pool manager. And we might need to add a token replacement in here. So let's just scroll through to see how things are looking. I just built this the other day, so it's probably a little finicky, but basically this is a class that lets us define a set with a size that we want it to be, and also a LLM prompt. So what it does is checks to see if the size of the set is less than our desired prompt or our desired size, and then it uses the LLM prompt to generate a serialized representation of something that would go in that set, and then we deserialize it and add it to the set. So basically, it sits in the background, and it can be generating locations in the background, and we can basically just pull from that set with super fast speed because it's obviously already generated, and then it'll automatically say, oh, okay, well now we're one fewer in our desired size, so we'll go ahead and generate something in the background to replace it. So it's kind of a weird system, but I think it'll work really well as long as we can get probably some sort of like caching system in, so we can say like, oh yeah, we are at location A, generate some neighboring locations and pass in location A as some template that I think we'll need to incorporate here, but also have it as like a cache key. So if you were to travel away, we can go say, okay, go invalidate all stuff in the pool that used this cache key of location A because it's no longer relevant. So maybe I know we have some things, but I think this is getting us to the right direction of actual proper travel working. So monitor pools and queue generators is where we queue up the actual LLM to run using our generation prompt. This is where we actually need to do any sort of token replacement in the prompt. So if we were to say prompt filled or token replaced prompt, we could say entry dot blah 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 generation prompt dot how are we doing that? We'll make sure we're doing it in the same way. Fill prompt with replacements is our class function. Fill prompt with replacements, and then we can pass in a string of a dictionary of replacements. So here we basically need to think through how we want to pass in either primitives or an object or something that this cache pool or content pool can use to fill in tokens in the prompt. So I'm going to think about that. And I'm also going to close my window real fast. Be right back. Alrighty. So, yeah. Can't believe my camera's still frozen. I just updated the drivers for it last night. I wonder if I broke something there. But I think what we want to do, well, some options that we have. So we've got our managed pools here. They are keyed under a string. So for example, our locations managed pool is under the key of quote locations. What we could do is have a parallel dictionary with the same sort of key system, and we could give it some sort of object here for like template replacements or data we want to contextualize those prompts with. Let's kind of, I don't really want to use object as our value type there, but let's say prompt context. So if we were to do something like this, we could say prompt context is also a new dictionary, and then we can wherever we want. So maybe we add a new method here of like public void set prompt context for a string key. We pass in an object, so it'll set that for us, and then when we're doing this generation, we can go ahead and well, maybe we want if we didn't do a dictionary here, we can do a string to string. So we got a dictionary of dictionaries, of course. And we can call that replacements. And maybe we just rename the whole thing to prompt replacements. So this would let us fill that prompt with these replacements. It'd have to be at entry.key. Right. Replacements does not exist. Oh, prompt replacements. So now, instead of using our generic prompt, our prompt. Oh, I have an echo going on. Let me check my OBS settings. Make sure I'm not playing the sound in Twitch. No, I'm not. Thanks for letting me know. Let me take a look. I hardware muted my headset. Does that help? Is there still echoing? It's on the shelf under the desk, but it could have been picking me up, I guess. Still hearing the echo. Okay. Let's see here. So it's probably actually my my webcam that's not working. So let me just unplug that. Alright, I now only have one mic plugged into my computer. Surely there's no echo here. There is somehow. Do I have Twitch like in another window? Pause. If I jump over here. Let me make sure it's not like I have Twitch in a window somewhere. Let's see here. How could I possibly have so only OBS is picking up my mic. So either it's audio feedback or I mean, I guess I can try. Alright, I unplugged my desk mic and I'm using my headset mic. Is there still echo? I would listen on my computer, but I know that that would just produce more echo, so it might be a little hard. That fixed it. Okay, so somehow it was probably still picking up my headset mic, even though it was hardware switch muted. That's a little concerning, but if I'm not too quiet on my headset, I mean, I prefer to use my headset anyway, so I can just use this. That'll be great. Thanks for letting me know. Sorry for the echo and the infinite screen as well. And I guess I have my webcam literally unplugged. I might as well kill that webcam feed in the stream too. But, alright, so let's see here. We just got this set up so we can now add prompt replacements for a managed pools key. Maybe that should actually live on the pool itself. Probably so. Let's say public dictionary, string, prompt context, or prompt replacements, I guess, is fine. So in here, we'll add our setter on the replacements that we added above. Just trying to think through how we want that to live in the context of like our interface too. Let's see here. Guess we can just do what we've been doing. Prompt replacements. Okay, so this guy just has a getter now, which just naturally carries it through to our prompt replacements. So now if we were to set prompt context, we can now say dot, what was our function called? Oh, we haven't added it yet. And this is actually managed pools. Right, we need to add that to the interface as well. That is set prompt context. Sure. So now we don't actually need this janky dictionary of dictionaries that we added. which is kind of nice. The logic should live, I think, in the generation pool itself, rather than the manager. Cool. So now we have the ability to pass in the current location or current NPC or something where we need to provide more context to a prompt in order to generate more stuff. So we will go ahead and do that. Let's fix this to be managed pools. Dot prompt replacements. And that shouldn't live, I mean, it could live on the prompt itself, but I think the generation pool is where we want it to live so we can handle like caching and cache invalidation and stuff. So let's go ahead and now we can use this new prompt, start that coroutine, and now what we need to do is both at the start of the game and when we travel to a new location, we need to provide this prompt with our current location as a prompt replacements dictionary. So all of our AI prompts can pull in information from the current location. So we have a travel manager. Oops, we're already there. We have our travel player 2 function. So that's one place where one of the two that we know we need to update the cache of where we're at. So in order to do that, let's say it will be content pool manager dot instance dot set prompt context for locations, and then our new dictionary, and we can choose what information from the location we want to pass through. So we probably want like coordinates, it's not correct. Let's just say this for now. We'll fill in this data in a second. Is that the syntax? Arrow syntax? Pretty sure it's curly braces and commas. Okay, so we can pass in coordinates, we can pass in location name, and yeah, I guess we can autocomplete some of that. Type and description. Let's double check that there's nothing else we might want. We could get the people, like names of the people there. We probably will want the tags eventually, but we haven't implemented them yet. Yeah, this should be fine for now. So now, every time we move to a new location, we're providing that location or information about that location to our content pool manager, specifically for the locations key, which is how we differentiate all of our different content pools. So let's figure out how we want to grab this coordinate. Where are we calling this from? Travel to. Starting to feel like we want to store that coordinate on the location. I guess we can do that. But for now, let's skip it. It's not super important. I want to get more important stuff working. So this now, we will start at our start town, it'll give it the name of the town and the type of the town, and no longer will we, where in our location generator, let's go ahead and tweak this prompt so we can include that new information as context. So let's see here. You will be given the player's current location. I already see actually there's going to be a problem here. Just based on like temperature and randomness. If we give them their current location and ask them to generate a neighbor, like even if we include like a neighbor to the north, a neighbor to the east, and then we run the same prompt 4 times, there's a good chance it's just going to give us the same output every time. Because there's nothing basically built into making sure that there's a different output every time. What we have been doing as a solution is to say like generate 4 locations, which we could do and might be better like economy on tokens, I guess, since all this extra stuff around it you only need to run once, and then we get this times 4 in the output. But I think it's nice to have like a single input, single output location, so you don't have to have a bunch of parameters on this of like how many locations to generate and like kind of tying stuff a little bit more to the implementation. So let's see if we can get away with just saying you'll be given the player's current location in the location JSON format and need to generate a neighboring location as output in the same format. So now we can give them example input in location format. We'll copy this. And let's call this, I don't know, Odon City. Just call it Odon. That is a city. And this city is a bustling trade hub for the region. And it's overrun with rats. So now if we were to give a user prompt of this, let's say maybe Marilac, and we have a town on the ocean. This is a beachside town with tourism and fishing. Does it give us... Why is this broken too? Don't destroy, unload, on Chroma, Golem, LM. Oh, it's not in this scene, right. Let's head over to our start screen where we set up all these. Alright, generate that. And we got Whispering Cliffs as a landmark, are known for their eerie sounds. When the sea breeze hits, that's cool because it's related to our location, so it's like a nearby thing that's believable. If we generate another, will it be the exact same thing? Coral depths, okay, it's different, and it's also water related. Another. Glimmering shores, okay. So we probably do eventually want some like directionality in this, because it doesn't make sense for if you say this town is on the beach and you're generating locations in northeast, southwest directions, you're not going to want both a beach town like on the east side and the west side or something, because there's going to be 1 ocean and 2 you're going to go further and further from the ocean, so it's no longer a beach. But I think we can incorporate that directionality later, and also we'll tweak the temperature a little bit too to get a little bit more unexpectedness and less always being exactly related. If we could get like 75% of them being directly related to the input, that'd be great, I think. You get one random one, kind of. So these are all pretty beachy, but I think that's fine. We probably don't want to go as like small scale as an inn. So let's also say the scale of your location output should be assigned landmark, city, town, cave, mountain, lake, etc., and not small enough to be individual buildings or similar. So let's just double check that these are looking fine still. Maybe generate a couple, see if there's anything. So we got a cliff, which is great because it's not explicitly named here, but is like the right size. We got a beach. Landmark. We could do what we did with the NPCs and provide like the location types as a big old list for the AI to pick from. But it's kind of nice to have it a little bit more unreined. I think eventually we'll want to have a mostly static world for like the end state of this game, so we can have a proper like story throughout it and a known travel path and put points of interest along that path and so on. But I think for this demo it makes a lot of sense to just generate a world as you go, and you can kind of go to the areas that you think are most interesting. It'll have NPCs generated there, and we can kind of do a lot of playtesting and see what is fun, what are the cool areas, what areas have cool items, what areas have cool like NPC problems and quests. So this looks fine. So let's go ahead and now we will just let's see. Do we have the curly braces when we do this? We do. So let's go ahead and keep consistent in how we're formatting these tokens. So anytime the text on the left appears in the prompt, it'll be replaced with the text on the right. So now we can say location name, location type, location description, and we don't need the coordinates for now. We're not even inserting them in the prompt, but I'll leave it just so we remind ourselves to implement that. So that's one of the two places we need to update this, and the other place is at the start of the game, which we can do. Where's a good entry point for that? Maybe on the location UI manager. Right? Is that what I called it? UI manager. Person UI manager. Probably not there. But reload the people list for the current location. let's start back at our game manager and just kind of trace through. So when we start a new game, we are loading the scene, main. Maybe even before that, let's just go ahead and, before we even start generating items, it probably makes sense to give the prompts all of the context they need. So theoretically, we could be generating items for this location. So let's go ahead and set that prompt, and we can say, we do want to make sure that we have actually our current location when we set it. So let's current player location, I think is what we want. Location database, yes, here's a great place for it. So we're starting our first location, which is hard-coded in for now. And then everything past that is generated. Let's see here. We add it to the map, we set our current location. We now provide this location as context to the location generation prompts. Cool. So now that should work a lot better. We were seeing when you go in and travel, you're just getting the same output regardless of where you're starting. There's a separate bug there, I think, logically. We should have seen where we started as one of those options. So let's test that too, but right. Well, we do want to do the error handling and make sure that this key exists, but I'm glad that we haven't done that because it's trying to set this prompt context before creating the pool. So before we test this, we want to make sure that see, we're setting the context in awake and we're creating the pool in start. So actually, we want to move this after until we create the pool. So now we create this pool and we use current player location to provide it some context. So when it's generating those new locations, it'll use this. And so we want to also make sure, actually I guess we can do this. One thing I'm a little concerned about here is it might start triggering the generations as soon as the pool is created. So we want to make sure that there's some sort of pause or wait to make sure that everything is set up context-wise. We could actually just have another constructor if you want to also provide context. But I want to just kind of trace through here. So we're setting up our managed pools. We create a new generation pool. And that is what goes ahead and, well, I guess we don't actually generate stuff until we call monitor pools and queue generators. And that happens in update. So it won't happen until the first update frame calls. So as long as we set that context beforehand, I think we're going to be good. There's still a potential for like a race condition there if, not quite sure exactly if both start on, say, like the recipe database or something, location database, happens on the same frame as the content pool manager's update. If it does happen, and then in a separate thread, this gets triggered, and then in that first thread, it sets the context. That could be an issue, but hopefully that's not a awful bug that I'll need to chase down later and forget I said this. But I think it should be fine, actually. We can create our pool, and then set that context. So we create our pool, set that context. Let's see. Can I just do this? Why not? Takes 2 arguments? Oh, it takes 1 argument. Oh, right. Because we don't need the key any longer. Okay. Cool. Actually, I don't know why we were getting it before if we weren't doing anything on it, but I guess maybe I was thinking of future me. But cool. So now we should have this prompt uses our current context, or our current location as context. So if we go in and say gerund, this town is surrounded by volcanoes on every side. If we were to go in now and give somebody a random item so we can unlock travel, hopefully we will get volcanoes as all of our options. So let's go give a farmer some lava. We don't even care what he wants. Cool, cool. Still need to update all these float tooltip positions. Alright, so now we're surrounded by volcanoes on all sides. We get the Ember Fields, the Lava Springs, the Ashen Plains, and the Ashen Plains again. So we will want to increase that temperature or something. Maybe we can provide something to exclude names that are already generated, or... Oh, this is Ashen Plains and Ashen Fields, I see. So they are technically different, but we don't want that. But while we're here, what we want to do is... Let's take a look at that second bug we saw where... Let's see. Let's get our current coordinate, which kind of hard because we're not putting it on here. But it should be 2, 9, right? North and east don't change. Wait. South and north. Yeah, these are in the wrong order. I think that's actually south if y coordinate starts at the top. So we actually want north, east, south, west. And then let's go ahead and just, let's populate our current coordinate into there, make it a little easier. So that we can put on maybe like game references. We can say update current coordinate label. Travel manager? Where do we store current location? Yeah, this is one of those things I need to go back in and just decide where things should live. Current player coordinates. That's a tuple, so let's set it with a toString. Should be fine. And then we also want to call that from our travel manager. When we travel player 2, I guess load scene will trigger our gameplay references start again, so we don't need to call that manually. Cool, so that should set our coordinates, which are random every time, because why not, I guess. Let's give that another shot, and let's make sure those direction coordinates line up northeast, southwest as we expect, and we'll make sure that our... Oh, I wonder if that errored because it's disabled. Oh right, we didn't even set the reference anyway. Main, gameplay references, current coordinate label. Alright, let's try that again. Gerund is surrounded by volcanoes on every side. Let's give this man an enchanted vision charm. Does not help because everything you touch turns to metal. But we get our correct coordinates. We are at 2-7. So if we were to go north, maybe we do want to just invert that y-axis just so it's a little more logical to the player. I don't know which one makes more sense to the layman, if x and y, if it should have an origin of 0, 0 at this point or this point. Probably at this point if we're gonna like show them a map, because that's more what people see in like math class. But we're surrounded by volcanoes. If we were to go over to the Echoing Ash Forest, he would put us at 2-8. We want to help someone there and then check to see what the location is at 2-7 to make sure we're getting Gerund again. So let's head over to 2-8. We got the Echoing Ash Forest. Every sound is mysteriously echoed back. Let's see what this kind of problem is. These pigments mix with pervasive ash. You know what? I bet I can give you some ash. Or something. Wow, it's such a long list. And we don't have any ash. Alright, it's whatever. We'll give you this. We were at 2-7, right? Just giving him something so we can unlock travel again. It helped, apparently. Oh, but we are still at 2-7. Okay, so we're not updating our location at all. Travel player 2. Here does not update the location unless it happens in load location. So let's double check that. Load, location data. Actually, what is that? Well, let's just double check that real fast over here. We're at 2-7. Now we should be at 1-7. So let's give this guy a scroll. Still at 2-7. Alright, so that's what the problem is. Great. So if we go over to our load location, wait for location generated. Current player location, but not current player coordinates. And this is once again making me think we need to store those locations, or those coordinates on the location, because we don't have any way of telling what the coordinates of this new location is.
So let's just go ahead and do it, I guess. In location, we need public tuple and int coordinates. Sure. Alright, so we just need to find everywhere the location is used and give it coordinates. And we probably don't even need to put it in the constructor. I think we can just set it after the fact because it's more to just like pass data around. It's not really that important and it's not required, I'd say, because we might be generating locations. Like for example, in the content pool, we'll have locations that don't necessarily have a coordinate yet until we pull them and assign them to a position on the map. So we'll go ahead and say, let's actually, maybe we get rid of current player coordinates altogether and just fetch that off of current player location, and that'll give us a lot of, at least a handful of errors, which will be conveniently in all the places that we would need to manage those coordinates to begin with. So let's do that. Let's say no more current player coordinates. But we will actually keep them local as this scope because we want to start somewhere random. And so what we'll end up doing is saying starting location.coordinates, and then what we can say is we can modify our world map.add. Well, actually, that's just a dictionary. We probably want a class for the map because now that we have the coordinates on the location, we could do something like this and just have it pull locations out and override stuff if it needs. But for now, we'll do that. It's fine. We're basically saying add this location at these coordinates. Cool. So if we save that, we should get like 3-ish errors, I bet. Yeah. So here, we now say current player location dot coordinates. Here, we want current player location dot coordinates. And here, current player location dot coordinates. So that should be everything that we need for passing coordinates around. So now we can also say location dot coordinates dot toString. Where else? Wait for location generated. We actually don't have to update it here anymore because we're setting our current location to that's currently traveling to, which is another location which has the coordinates, so should all be good. So I think that should work. Let's double check that. We'll head on over to our start screen again. We will help somebody, we will travel, we'll make sure that one, our coordinates update to the new coordinate, and two, when we look to travel again, we should see our original coordinates as this location that already exists. So you obviously need fairy dust, my guy. Jeffrey, the Griffin Keeper? Maybe not. Alright, we start at 1-3. Lava Fields of Ix, Lava's Whisper, Lava Fields of Marith, Lava Fields of Char. Let's head over to Char, 0-3. Yeah, I guess that is the correct coordinates. So we started at 1-3, let's remember that. Oh, did I break something? This is broken because these guys aren't having their coordinates set when they're added to the map. Okay. So, in our travel manager, ready to unlock traveling, when we have enough locations, whatever happens after this, open train station. So here is actually, we're not even adding these things to the map. So we're just adding them to like the train station. We're not giving them coordinates or anything. So actually, in our game manager, let's do that over here. It doesn't necessarily need to live in the train station logic. We can say, basically what we are kind of doing in populate panel data, we can say for the coordinates of our current location, so travel manager.instance dot blah blah blah, and so we're getting the coordinates for all of the neighbors for our current location. Basically what we're going to do here is I think I'm thinking of too many things at once. I'll come back to that thought. Here we're basically going to just consume 4 locations from our content pool manager and assign them to the world. And now we know we have all those neighbors, so we can open the train station. So what we'll do is create a new location there. And does this pull from the pool? Yes, it does. Cool. So that'll be nice and easy. You can say let's take a quick look at our location database and make sure we don't already have like a create or return, because we don't want to necessarily just call create new location at, because it might override what's already there. We could just say get location at, if it's null, then create one, and so on. Yeah, has generated location at. Sure, we can use that. So we will say here, if location manager or location database has I guess it needs to go in a loop, right? For each if we don't already have a location here, we can go ahead and call create new location at here. And then this is what will assign those coordinates to those locations and also add them to the world map, I would hope. Yes, okay. Here, we're doing that. We also want to say location.coordinates is coordinates. So it's stored on the location itself. And then at this point, we know that every neighbor coordinate has a valid location at it, and we can go ahead and open that train station. So they should persist now instead of being randomly generated every time. Let's double check that. Philip, what do you need? Waterproof fabric, maybe? Nope. Alright, we're starting at 9.1. We are heading over to 9.0. Ember Spire Peaks. Cuthbert needs a flying fish. If we open this travel, we should see 9.1 is gerund, hopefully, if everything worked. Wait, we don't have travel yet? Oh, right. It still needs time to generate. Alright, spider silk for you, Godwin. Surely we've generated 4 locations by now. No? Huh. Okay, now we have, I guess. Just took a while. Alright, Godwin, you want more spider silk? Okay, we are at 9.0, which is where we moved to. 9.1 is gerund. Nice. It doesn't have the location type. Oh, I guess because we're probably not adding that. Yeah. Let's just say starting location. Location. Cool. So now we can head back to Jaren, or we would be able to if I didn't just reload all the scripts. But I think that's working now, which is cool. Cool. So now we can kind of get that persisting world. You start out at some coordinate, you get neighbors, and you can progress over and over again to other neighbors. As soon as the world is generated around you, it's basically a really, really slow version of like Minecraft chunking, where it's just generating your neighboring chunks, and then when they're ready, you can go into them, and then you start generating those neighboring chunks and so on. But if you start progressing back towards the chunks you've already generated, they're super fast because they're already generated, of course. Cool. So our location is now updating. We are storing the locations properly. I don't know that we can deconstruct the items quite yet. I think I want to... I guess we can think through that. There's a lot of stuff I want to put off for this kind of 2D RPG approach that we want, but I'm trying to think of what makes sense to do now and get it like the systems working versus hold off until all the systems are actually working. Because it'll be a pretty laborious change to basically move from this menu simulator to an RPG style. And I would love to make sure that it's all solid. Well, that was my my webcam that I just plugged back in. Rip. Alright. Well, good luck with that. Let's see here. Let's play once. Let's see if anything stands out to fix. Maybe we could theme NPC like rewards to the location you're in. Let's sort the inventory actually. Surely it's not that hard. It's not going to be that much effort. We are going to do new inventory UI, but I don't care. It'd be so much nicer to have it sorted. Let's see here. So we draw the inventory in gameplay references, I think. Redraw inventory list, that's correct. So here, I think actually maybe all we need to do is just, this is a list of items. Can we define like a sort interface on list of items? We say list item sorted items equals ChatGPT, take it away. Wow, we did it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, well, we might need link, but we did it, ladies and gentlemen. Y-O. Object, I guess. I mean, I guess let's double check that that works, but that'll be much nicer. We still need to stack them, but yeah, they are sorted now. So at least that's nice. And if we take out bamboo, we put it back in. Not sorted. But why actually? Are we not calling redraw? Element node controller. What do you want? We move to the element list. When are we calling redraw actually? So when we add a new item to the inventory, when we remove an item from the inventory, and when we first start the scene. So I wonder, yeah, so on our node controller for items, when we drag it into the inventory, we are not adding it to the inventory. We're just like reparenting it to the inventory. So here, if we move from the element list or to the element list, we also want to redraw that element list, not just the label. Okay. That is a lot of air. Let's find something that we have. Oh, we chose elementalist, so it's just gonna be the same things. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's take a water. We drag that back in, it's going back to water. It's kind of hard to see when. Let's do the pebble. When it's just layered like that. So now we've got a pebble, we take it out. Now we just have infinite items. Because we're redrawing, which puts the node controller back in here, even though we have one already here. Okay, so... But it doesn't even... Right. Okay, so we don't want to redraw that. Well... So this is happening because when you drag an item from your inventory into the workbench, under the hood it's still in your inventory. It's just out on a workbench right now. So later on, when this is more of a window, you can close the workbench and it'll redraw the inventory and you'll have it back in your inventory. But for now, it doesn't really work because we can't redraw this inventory. I'm already seeing like exploits and stuff. If you were to drag out an item and then do something else that redraws your inventory, it would add a copy of that item back over here. And I don't really want to like remove it from your inventory when you drag it out, because I think there'll be way too much cleanup there. Oh hey, buy boats, if I pronounce that right. I'm glad you like it. This is actually a graphics pack from, I believe it's the GUI Pro Fantasy RPG. I got it on sale in the Unity store. Let me hype them up real fast. It is really cute. These guys, yeah. So I think they actually made it for mobile games, which we're not making here, but I've kind of resized a lot of things to look a little bit better on desktop. But welcome to the stream. We are working on a little kind of crafting RPG where I don't know if you've played like Little Alchemy or games that in that style where you combine items to create new items. But basically we're taking that concept where you can combine items with AI, so there's an infinite amount of items you can combine, but we're also generating locations and NPCs where the NPCs have their own problems and you need to combine those items and create items that help that NPC. Let me actually show you. But it's pretty fun so far. We're in a pretty brittle state right now where a lot of stuff is kind of working, not really working. We're fixing all that up for a bigger new release pretty soon. But you start out in a location, you got different NPCs, just 3 for now while we're coding, but we'll have a long list of them. You can build up your friendships as you help them out, but you can check them out. Edwin's problem is he's a scout. Each time he sets foot on volcanic soil, his shadow splits from him, gaining a will of its own, and refuses to join me unless I cross back into safer territories. So, we can go ahead and just kind of craft some items and see if we get anything that might help with him. Visibility cloak. Not quite. But as you're crafting these items, you're also basically generating all these recipes on the fly. So it's different each time you play, but within the same gameplay, you'll be able to say like, oh, the crafting recipe for a invisibility cloak is chameleon skin and a cursed amulet. Oh, how did I make a cursed amulet? It's an amulet and blood. You can forage for items in the locations that you travel to. You can buy items from the shop. You can resell items to get some more gold for buying other stuff. Basically, we're just giving you a lot of tools to get a ton of items. Yeah, it's hooked up to a generative AI. It's actually, we just released an API for our own use, and so we're kind of prototyping that AI pretty heavily with this demo here. You can check it out at chromogolem.com/API, but basically, right now it just does text generation. And we're about to add some endpoints for like specifically generating items and NPCs and locations. So I think it'll be really cool. We're also going to add image generation and maybe like music and narrative, and we'll see what else is possible, but we were using the ChatGPT APIs, but we realized pretty quickly that we couldn't put anything on Steam, and I mean, both at the time Steam didn't allow AI games or anything powered by AI, but also there's a lot of technical challenges, like you basically have to bundle your API key into your client and release that to Steam, so if you have any problems, like somebody steals the key and you need to cycle it, you're in a bad spot because you can't change your key without forcing all of your other players to download a new client with the new key. So we basically built our API in front of that, and gives us a lot more control and lets us cycle those keys and do things like that without needing to push up new versions of the game. And I've been having a ton of fun working on this, just kind of exploring with what's fun and what's not. So if that sounds interesting to you, we also have a Discord in the stream description below for people using AI in game development and just like game devs in general. It's actually not a self-trained AI right now. Let me sign in real quick here. We provide some existing AIs that you can choose from. So right now we just have the cheap GPT 3.5 Turbo. It's actually technically cheaper than using it from OpenAI, but I'm using GPT 4 Turbo here, which is still pretty cheap, but way better. So you can choose your AI model here in the browser without having to like push up a new client. We got some basic stats. I'm still working on it all, but see some like player stats. But we're gonna add a lot more AI models, and we'll probably be working on our own self-trained AIs eventually. But really, we just want to make games, so we are focusing more on the actual infrastructure and game stuff right now instead of going too ham on AI stuff. But it has been really helpful for us to move quickly and generate all these items and all the recipes and all these NPCs and stuff. So it's actually really nice for this demo specifically because I'm already thinking through like different plots and locations and stuff that I want to add in, but for this sort of demo, it's really nice to just say, hey, here's the system, play however you want, go wherever you want, talk to whoever you want, more of a sandbox style, and then we can layer in our own hard-coded in stuff later. Just trying to make this like a fun system to begin with. And also, my apologies on the stream. I normally have a camera. I think my drivers broke when I updated them yesterday, so I've been having a lot of issues with it freezing and crashing, so I don't have a camera today. But I normally stream every Tuesday, and it's been more of a chill, just like refactoring stuff today type of system. But let's see if we can craft anything for Edwin. You can also see the cool, what I think is the coolest AI in this game is not only is it generating these like problems and quests, but when you give them a item, it basically asks an AI like, hey, here's the problem, here's this guy's background and personality, here's where he's at, here's the item that you gave them, does it solve his problem? And then we branch in the game based on whether he thinks it will solve his problem or not, which is pretty cool. So we can get him an enchantment. I wonder if we have like a shadow or enchanted sword, a totem. Enchanted totem. Maybe that'll help. His shadow separates from his body. Let's give him an enchanted totem. We were able to help him. Cool, so that, and then you build up a friendship with him. He'll be back in a second with a new problem. You get it for a proof of concept, that's pretty cool. Moral issues about the idea of using these AI models for commercial products. Yeah, that's something we're still figuring out too. We wouldn't be able to be a game studio if we didn't have the tools to let us move quickly like this. So it's kind of a we're doing the best we can and using the models that are the best that we can. But we're still figuring that out too. But Edwin is back. We now have one heart with him. There's some recruit mechanics later. But that's basically where the game is at right now. Like, adding a bunch of stuff really to kind of flesh out the world. Building these systems. And yeah. His dreams foretell actual eruptions with precise detail. Let's give him a Cloak of Destiny. Alright, he didn't think that one would help, but We got a tip of 1 coin and some items. I guess now that we've sorted our inventory list, it's a lot harder to tell what items they give you as a reward. So maybe that's something I should add in soon. Or maybe that'll use the new UI we'll work on soon. Let's see here. We did stack the inventory, or sort the inventory. I guess we could stack it now. Let's update our forageables count. That's a nice easy win there. Forageables container. Let's see here. Foraging manager. Oh, I don't know that we even have something to show this to begin with. We probably don't. Gameplay references. We do not. Let's add one. Forageables count label. And let's take a look at, it's not how we want to get the count. How do we know what forageables we're storing? Probably don't want to just do it based on the elements in the hierarchy. So let's actually store that in the foraging manager. So now we've got a reference of all of the items in the foragers panel. We can go over to gameplay references. And in here we can say dot currently available forageables dot count. Cool. So we need to do that also anytime you grab an item from that panel. That's gonna be element node. Actually, let's double check. We might have a different manager for those guys. These are using store item controllers. Right, because we reused the store one. We don't have a counter for the store, so I guess we can just go ahead and call update forageables count label anytime you forage an item or buy an item from the store. Doesn't really matter on the second one. But buying the item, here we can go ahead and gameplay references instance.update forageables count label. That is public. This guy should also be public. Cool, so now that label should be correct when we first load into the scene, and it should update when we forage an item. So we will double check that that is truly working. A little suspicious. That doesn't look correct at all. Currently available foragers. Oh, right, because we haven't initialized at this point. I think that should be an awake. So it triggers before start. Can I just do this, maybe? Oh, might also not be even triggering the awake, since it's overriding the singleton awake. Let's try both of those at once. Maybe one of them will work. Nope. Alright, so what we'll actually do is not call that at the start of the scene, since it's already correct. But maybe we can call it at the end of here. I guess that makes more sense to do anyway, since here's where we're adding forageables, so even if we did update it there, it would be 0. Okay. Still an error. Did I? Oh, you know what? Gameplay references. I added forageables count label, and I didn't set that reference. Surely the 5th time is the try. Absolutely not. Oh, right, we started from the wrong scene. I guess I could write a script to automatically switch back to the start screen when we press play, but I feel like it gets rough when you add more scenes and you want to test them. Alright, no errors. There are now 10 items. That makes sense, 9 plus 1. So it wasn't correct before, I guess. If we grab one... there are now 9 items. Okay. So let's look at our store node controller. Is that what we called it? Store item controller. Here... it should be triggering correctly. Oh, we're not removing it from the forageables. Okay, yeah, we can do that. We say public void remove item. And that will remove currently available forageables.remove item. So now this guy, forageables manager, I guess that might be a little bit weird if you were to buy an item from the store Shouldn't I mean, we'll never have overlap between forageables and items in the store. So this should do nothing, and this should do nothing. But maybe this is a case for where we finally want to just have a forageable item controller instead of a store item controller. There's a shortcut to copy it over. And there's a lot of common functionality here that maybe we are in desperate need of abstracting out. But maybe we can do that a little later. So now we can basically do the same thing with the foraging logic. Let's see, forageables again. We can take that out of our store item container, and we need to update our prefab. Probably actually game references. Prefab. Let's see here. How are we? Initialize forageables. Add random forageables. What is our prefab? Prefab forageable item display on the foraging manager. Okay. So here we've got an item for sale. We'll say forageable item. And then instead of the store item controller, we do a forageable item controller with the same references. Move that guy. And now in our main scene, window manager's foraging manager, we can give it a forageable item prefab instead of our item for sale. So I think that should work. It'll initialize those. They have the same logic basically. Let's give it a shot. So, did not work. Just one for some reason. Oh, we didn't set the new prefab reference. I think. Main. Wait, maybe we did. Foraging manager. Forageable item. Okay. What is the error then? Here. Store item controller. Right. Forageable item controller. Forageable item controller. Okay. Okay, we have 15, which, yeah, I guess each class has a different number of forageable items it can pick from at the start, which is why we only had 10 the other time. We grab sunlight. Now there's 14. Okay. Great. So if we were to now help this guy, I think it would add more forageables. Currently there's 2 slots missing. And now there's +3, I think, because it's overlapping and we still need to add scrolling. Or maybe just a max, I guess. Probably scrolling so people don't have to claim it all. But now, yeah, so that's adding more forageables and it's not updating the UI. So here, add random forageables is actually where we want at the end of that. We always want to update that label. Okay. Update forageables count on update. Cool. Alright, well, I think we are getting to the point where things are mostly working. We got travel working today, we got map generation working, going back to previous locations on the map, fixed up foraging, just a bunch of small things as well. I think we might call it soon. I want to do some research on maybe some assets for 2D player controllers and play around with them a bit, but I'll probably do that off camera just because it's just going to be me playing around with it for a couple hours. But yeah, thanks for joining me, everyone. This is Elixir Emporium. Sorry it's in kind of a rough state this week and having camera problems and everything, so next week we'll be back with a vengeance. Hope you've enjoyed it this week. A little reminder, if this game sounds fun, you can head over to chromagolem.itch.io, and we've got some other demos, but you can check out Elixir Emporium here. Play it in your browser. It's all free. It's fun. I like it. This is the previous version, not the version we're working on right now, but this is nice and polished up and a little bit more balanced. You don't start with 1,000 items and so on. So give it a try. Tell us what you think. We also have our Discord in the stream description below this stream. So if you're a game dev or you are interested in AI or want to get into game dev, give that a try. We'd love to have you there. We'd love to help out. And lastly, we also just released our API for other game devs to add AI to their games. Excuse me. So you can head over to chromagolem.com, click AI API. We got some deets about it, but in general, it's pretty much on par with OpenAI pricing because it uses the OpenAI stuff under the hood. It basically just adds all the extra stuff that OpenAI doesn't give that game developers specifically need. So we'll have a Unity asset for it soon. It's been really, really nice for us to work with, and I think it'll be nice for you too. So thanks for joining me. My name's Andrew. I stream every Tuesday, and I'll see you next week as soon as I find my OBS window. Thank you.